Hey everybody, Ryan O'Donnell here, walking you through a video about how to install fonts. Something that a lot of people may know already, but I wanted to make a quick little video here to be able to help those of you out. If you haven't really dabbled with fonts from other places, normally uh, whenever you start typing something, you go and be able to go to the your choices to be able to select fonts, and there's already a fair amount of them there. There's a lot of other places that you can go to for fonts, and I wanted you to be able. I wanted to show that how that works. First off, let me show you how it works. And there's two different places in which and how this works. And so let me bring up a tab over here and show you. Let's pretend I'm going to, let's say, I'm going to be in a Google Doc or something like that. Let me bring that up over here and show you what this looks like here. Brings me out of the way here. I'm going to open up myself a brand new Google Doc. And in the Google Doc, you can see most of us are pretty, pretty familiar. You go in here. I want to be able to lesson on to kill a mockingbird, let's say like that. And you go in, highlight your text, and I can go to my fonts to be able to change them, and I can see the list of fonts that are there, like this. In Google's different because than how fonts have always worked in the past, in which it's like this, is that the program isn't on your computer. It's on the internet. It's on Google's computers. So that means that the fonts are also on somebody else's computer because they're linked to each other. So if I be able to write on a font, I need the font to be able to go match and find it. A little bit confusing, a little bit, but let me show you how it works here. Here are the fonts that I can pick from. If I want another font, something I'm like, these are the same boring all fonts, you can see up here on the top, there's a thing that says More Fonts. I click under More Fonts, and now comes up, hey, just like it says, more fonts. There's different types of fonts. So let me show you. You could just randomly start scrolling. You can see here and just like, hey, what's out there? The check boxes that you can see are the ones that you already have. But if I click over here, the middle one right here, it says show all fonts. Here's the type of fonts that your families, if you would, you can see. It starts with all, everything, and then it has display, handwriting, monospace, serif, and sans serif. I'm going to start down here with these two because these are basically every font can be one or the other. Basically serif or sans serif. Sans means without. So serif has something, and a sans serif doesn't have something. And what it has is a foot or a tail. And so let me show you here. If I say only show me serif fonts, now all of the fonts that you're going to see here, if you look at the bottom of the letter B or the bottom of the top of the letter T, it has a little, instead of just like this, it's got a little, how do you do there? That is called a serif. And so these are all fonts that have those things. Usually more of the classy fonts, the most famous of them being the Times New Roman font. So that's serif. Like, what if I don't want that? Let me go to sans serif. Arial and Helvetica are the two biggest fonts that you can see most popular out there. Like this. And they've even tried to be able to help you out. Let's say if I want to have a handwriting fonts, I guess you can see mostly they're going to be sans serif, but these ones are trying to recreate a look of somebody writing cursive or whatnot. They have another one called monospace. This is more of a sort of good old-fashioned typewriter kind of a look to it. The most famous of those being Courier and Courier New. And then display fonts are interesting if you want to be able to do, this is big and bold and in your face, like I'm doing a title of something. Let's not write, the whole idea, like, you want to be able to read in sort of generic sort of a font, so you're not necessarily writing something in Sigmar 1 here. Anyway, that's how you be able to get fonts within Google. But if you're going to be using any of my games, some of the games are in Google Slides that you'll have fonts. You never have to worry about installing them because they're just built in within the program. But PowerPoint's a different deal. If you have other programs, if you've installed locally on your computer, PowerPoint or Photoshop or something like that, then you now need to be able to have a font. Let me back up and show you how that works. So I'm going to pretend that, let's say you've downloaded one of my games, my first one, Jeopardy. And when you download this from the site here, you can see here, I'm downloading this thing and it says Jeopardy World War II, the game or whatever, and it says it's in a zip folder. Zip folder means is that I'm not just going to give you the PowerPoint, I'm going to give you multiple things. The multiple things in there are for a reason, because sometimes there can be like directions or different versions. The main reason that I'm zipping my files is that because I'm going to give you the file itself, and I'm going to give you any fonts that are needed. Now, the issue with the zip is when you download the thing, you wait a little bit, and boom, there it goes. So now here is my file, and I can see there's the zipper right there on that thing. That zipper means it's compressed. I cannot just open this thing up and now start copying and doing and using them. Sorry, I can't open and modify it because of this. It's still in a suitcase. Let's say if I've gone on a trip, it's still in it. So if I double click it, it looks like all the things are still there. I have 2 different versions and a link, and there's a folder called fonts. Now it does say it wants to extract these things, or I got to basically unpack that suitcase. There's a couple different ways to do it. Here's my way that I like it: is I'm just simply going to take all of these things, highlight them all like that, and I'm going to copy them. I'm going to go find another folder. So I'm going to go to my desktop, let's say, and on my desktop, I'm going to make myself a new folder and open up my new folder. And then inside my new folder, I'm going to go in here and put these files here. I keep my video in the way here. All right, now it has copied them. They're technically in 2 places, so it is taking up some space. What I do later on after a couple of weeks or so, or just you can do it right away, is go back and delete that download folder. So now I have all these things, and they can be opened up separately, independently on their own. So let me show you, if I open up that Jeopardy, what it looks like here. Here is the Jeopardy, the first slide. There's my little Bitmoji and me instructing, and even within all my games, it does show you the fonts that are needed. I've given you a separate link for people who just got this another way, but you should already have them if you've downloaded them. I need this one called Jeopardy, Baskerville Old Face Impact. I now need to install them. And how do I know if I already have them? Well, I can go right here on slide number 2. Let me click on the Enable Editing so I can edit this document. And this doesn't look normal like this. It should have a Jeopardy kind of a look and feel to it. You may not necessarily know that because it'll put just a generic thing on there. So you don't know what's right or not. So I recommend just installing all of those fonts so that it can look the way that they were designed. So the font, as I'm popping in here, you can see it actually is asking for this Jeopardy spelled with a G font, that it should look kind of like this logo over here in the back, and it's not doing that. So how do I fix that? Well, I got to install it. I'm going to minimize that real fast and go to my fonts. Here is the fonts that I have. Now I simply got to be able to install them onto my computer. You can look on how to be able to do this for those of you who are Mac users. I'm on a PC here, and I'm just going to go over to go to my control panel, search for fonts, and all of a sudden this comes up. And here's how I like to do, just side by side kind of a thing. It literally says drag and drop your fonts from there to here, and then they'll show up in my list of stuff. So I'm going to highlight all these things on the right-hand side, draggy over here, and drop them thing and installing. Oh, I just heard a sound. That means we've installed some fonts. It even shows it right there on the bottom. Now, if I go back to PowerPoint, probably not. It probably won't show up. Oh, it did. Sometimes you may have to close the program and bring it back up. That's the way it used to be back in the day. It wouldn't recognize them. But you can see now here, see the Jeopardy logo in the background, and the text that I've written now have that same theme and feeling. So now as I start to scroll through here, all the fonts, this is designed with a certain font. There was that Baskerville, supposed to have the look and feel of that game. And here are the topics. That's an impact font. And like I said, the most important one being that Jeopardy font right there. Interesting. You can see over here on the left-hand side on that little thumbnail, it doesn't show because once you close the program and bring it back up. So my first recommendation is you be able to, if you get any of my games, is you download them and then don't even open them up yet. Just go to your fonts, the fonts that came with it, install them, then open that up and you're good to go. Hey, side note, want to have some fun? Want to go font hunting? Anyway, here, like I said, so the way in which that this works is that in the Google world, the programs on the internet and your fonts are on the internet so they can talk to each other. Here is I got the program installed, and if the font's not there, it's not going to match up. So Google's limited with the number of fonts. If they're the ones picking which fonts that you have the ability to pick from. So you're just at the whim of how many. And there's a lot there. There's not radical changes and whatnot. You want to do some radical crazy stuff, folks, check out, here it is, ready? Check out the font, dafont.com. Right there, DAFONT, and this is a place where you can be able to download fonts. Let me move myself out of the way over here a little bit. Okay, and here is dafont.com, and I can be able to see all these different fonts across the top. I have these families. So again, there is, if I can look right in the middle, there's serif and sans serif again. Remember the little feet or the tails on there? But now I got way more. Here's a handwritten over here. Here's calligraphy. What if I want graffiti fonts? What if I want old school or Western fonts? You click on any of those families, and it brings this up. And it shows, by the way, hey, it says I can bring 25 fonts up at a time. What if I wanted to see, give me 100 at a time? And now here are all these fonts made by different people, organizations, and groups. It actually tells you. So this one font right here, this third one's called Carnival Freak Show by a guy by the name of Christopher Hansen. He's the one who made the font, uploaded it there. There's some information over here. You can see like he has Carnival Freak Show has 3.5 million downloads. So it's been a popular font as opposed to this one, Bartlock up here, that only has 7,000. So 3 million fonts there. It'll even tell you too, like this is free for personal use kind of a thing. And then if you want, you're able to download it. Let me show you that in a second. But you can simply keep scrolling. These are all Western themed. I love fonts. I'm a bit of a font freak, and I also love the names of fonts. Bandito is a good one. Retro Cache. Insane Rodeo. Anyway, these people make these fonts. Oh, they're really kind of cool ones. And so I always want to theme my font basically with whatever I'm doing. If I'm doing a game or whatever it is. Here's the next kind of cool tip. Check this out right here on the font. It says preview. I can put in any text that I want. It's going to change all of those fonts that I could get and show them what it would look like with that on there. So I'm going to put I am the game show guy. So let's see what the game show guy looks like. I wrote game show guy. Give me 100 examples of these and hit submit, and boop, here we go. Now it has written game show guy in all those cool fonts. Okay. Give you a preview of kind of what they look for. Theoretically, by the way, if I ever needed them and I didn't want to install it, I could just take a screenshot. It'll always just be black and white, which is, you don't want to do more than that, but gives you kind of a cool look of what these Western fonts will look like. And like, oh, what if I want to see some, how about horror fonts? What does horror look like? Ooh, look at that. You didn't even remember the game show guy. Ooh, scary, spooky fonts. Or, what was the other one I talked about before? Let me see some graffiti. Where'd graffiti go? Here you go. Graffiti fonts. Check out that. I've actually used some of these graffiti fonts in one of my in my basketball shootout game. It's called what's it called? Beat the Buzzer. Sorry, just changed the name from before. But yeah, I go here all the time trying to be able to theme my fonts. You'll see a lot of famous fonts on here that people have made versions of, like the Jeopardy one, Star Wars, or Harry Potter, whatever you want. They're out here and such. So anyway, how to be able to get these? Like, oh, I really want this Rune or Elvish font. Okay, I really dig that thing. How do I want that? Well, now I'm just going to go over here to the right-hand side, click that download button right over there, click download, and then down in the bottom, it has now, right down here, you can see next to where my head is right there, right back there. Anyway, it's always kind of, oh yeah, right over there is the zipped folder. So if I open up that zip folder, hey, there it is. I can see there's my file. It's still zipped, so I got to copy that thing, take it back out, put it somewhere else, and then from there drag that into my fonts, and I got new fonts. And folks, I hope you learned something about fonts today from the Game Show Guy. Check it out.